be on the 24th of October, which is is that the 4th?
Fourth Wednesday.
Yeah, the 4th Wednesday of the month. So thank you very much for coming. The tip jar is going around. Please contribute to that because of the fine service that we get here. Otherwise, she'll beat you out too. A small announcement. Timber Heritage is in participation with the city of Eureka. Will be having a speeder run, the first ever public run over the Eureka Slough Bridge, and that's the one by Target. Yay! And, you know, I got that engineered certified in February to do so, and it and the Lolita Trestle were engineered certified 4 years ago. And we extended the clearing of the trail to the trees on the highway, the eucalyptus trees on the highway, and it's about half the way along those trees cleared to the main entrance of the former Green Diamond entrance there at the northerly end. But in probably another week of working on it, they'll get the rest done. But, you know, there were brushes and homeless camps and the things that come with that. And with the trail open and running the speeder rides, we have more eyes on the ground, and that helps keep that problem from becoming as intrusive as it does. It doesn't make the problem go away, there's many causes of that. But today we're going to hear about the two candidates that are running for Harbor District, Richard Marks and Marian Brady. And thank you all for coming. And now, Scott, Scott will moderate this thing. And unlike me, he can't be bribed. I can be bribed.
So there, you can speak. Isn't that on? I think so. Yes, on.
Hi, everybody.
There you go. There you go. You could be in the middle.
Good afternoon, and thanks for coming. And usually this is kind of a grim jaw affair. You're going to find me anything but that. So if you came here with a grim jaw, you're bummed out. It's going to be fun, right, Bill Bertain? Yeah. Because if you're not having fun, then you're just doing politics or just selling insurance. Oh, by the way, I'm Scott Hammond. I'm a good neighbor. So thank you for having me.
Promo.
So what we're going to do, we'll do intros, and then we're going to flip the coins to see who goes first, takes the first question first, and then we'll do round robin. And then I'll be singing a song that you'll really enjoy at the end. So it's going to be a great time together. And with that, Marian, would you like to do your intro? What about you?
Can we move this down a little? Carolyn can't see both of us.
It's a great idea, yeah.
Just move it a little closer to Richard, and then just one slide there as well. There you go.
All right, perfect. There we go. Now I can see all of it.
You see everybody? Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. So, well, most of you know me because I've been moderating these, I've been part of the moderation group for these meetings for 54 times over the period of time between 2012 about and now. So, Marian Brady, and I'm running for Harbor District and the 4th Division, and I'm an 8-year incumbent on the City Council of Eureka. I have been involved in everything to do with the harbor on multiple levels since I was first elected. I will enjoy having the opportunity to explain a little bit to answer some of these questions that were presented. And I'm also, as a council member, I'm also on several boards and commissions that help to inform me about the general qualities, some general things that are happening, like REDEC, like Eureka Main Street, and and I was a zoo board member for a number of years. So I'm totally involved in our economic future. And that's my hope, that I can bring a different perspective to the Harbor Commission. And I think I'll wait to answer the questions.
First of all, I just wanted to thank the Humboldt Bay Harbor Working Group for hosting this forum. I attended many meetings before the Harbor District or the working group got involved. I used to go to the meetings for the Citizens for Port Development that were hosted by Kay Strickland years ago, and so for years and years I've been involved in this organization as a person out there watching. The last 9 years I've had the honor to serve as the 4th District Division Commissioner, and during that time, shipping is up dramatically. There are more jobs, the bay is cleaner and more productive, and the financial health of the district has improved greatly from when I came on in 2009. I believe that Humboldt Bay is the heart of our community, and its vitality is our vitality, and I'm very much committed to work hard to keep the Humboldt Bay working forward, and I've lived within sight of this bay for almost 40 years, and right now I am the president of the Harbor Commission, and I'm also the president of the Humboldt Bay Development Association. I'm the vice president of the North Coast Rail Authority, so if you ever have questions about the Rail Authority, be free to ask me. And I'm also the president of Mad River Softball Association, where I babysit 700 men, adult women playing softball every summer. And I'm formally with the Humboldt Domestic Violence Services. I was the longest serving member of that organization, and also I was an elected member of the Samoa Peninsula Fire Department. And I do have the endorsement of my former fellow directors from the fire department, as well as many elected in and around the Bay. I'm also endorsed by the Humboldt County Democratic Central Committee, the North Coast People Alliance, the United Brotherhood of Carpenters, Operating Engineers Local 3, Central Labor Council, Building Trades, and 3 sitting county supervisors, and 3 current and former Eureka mayors. And that's about it, and I'll go ahead and wait for the questions.
I literally need to borrow a quarter. Does anybody have a quarter on them? We used to have these things called coins that we used to spend money on.
For credit card.
I want to flip a credit card. That's going to...
2 bits?
2 bits, yeah, my dad used to call it 2 bits. Hey, Marian, heads or tails?
Heads.
Heads. You'd like to go first. You have the choice.
It's tails.
It's tails. Sir, what's your pleasure?
I'll go ahead first.
Look at you go. Okay, cool. Marian, here's your first question on The Price is Right. What are the 4th District's interests in the development and use of the harbor and use of the remainder portion of the bay? I'll read it again. What are the 4th District's interests in the development and use of the harbor and use of the remainder of the portion of the bay? Marian Brady.
I am noticing a fuzzy quality to that mic, so maybe the next time I'll let them use my mic. Anyway, just, yeah. So, the development and use of the harbor there are certain circumstances that they're supposed to be looking at. Well, the first one is the national and international shipping facilities on the Samoa Peninsula. They're supposed to be supportive of shipping activities on the Eureka West Side Industrial Waterfront and the Fields Landing Industrial Waterfront. So these are all kind of like top priority in my mind. They should be top priority for the Harbor District. Another interest and development thing is the historic and dynamic district in Eureka for commercial and recreational waterfront uses, including cruise ship facilities. So there are some plans to create, to buy a jointly funded, I believe, gangway or gangway for the cruise ships. That will, when we finally get another cruise ship in, which I guess is not going to be until next year at this point. So that waterfront area of the city of Eureka is also has an impact or an import for the harbor district. Another major focus for them is supposed to be a protected working marina on Woodley Island dedicated to moorage and support of our commercial fishing fleet. And there are water-related recreation, aquaculture, that kind of thing on the remaining portion of the bay, north and south of the harbor. One of the things that I observed while talking to people about some of the matters that are a part of this water-related recreation or trails, that kind of thing, is that there is some Harbor District-owned property down to the, I think, west of Fields Landing that could become a trail that the Harbor District hasn't worked on yet. And since I've been a part of the city of Eureka is working on their waterfront trails, I realized that this can be quite an amenity. It could go from Fields Landing all the way down to the Humboldt Wildlife Refuge. I'm not sure how much time we're dedicated. 3 minutes?
Yes.
For each question. So there are some, these are the big items that I feel that the Harbor District should be working on and should have a complete commitment to. The shipping and the international shipping, what I've heard from some of the commissioners, perhaps it was said in under stress, but that they said that there was no point in looking at international shipping. That if those people want to come, they'll come, and we don't have to proactively go after it. Well, I'm one of the people who wants to proactively go after whatever we can do to increase the shipping. At this point, the shipping that is happening on the harbor has nothing to do with any efforts of the Harbor District, but it has to do with the international markets for chips and for logs. And so I asked about what the current levels are, and it's since 17, they've gone up by three more log or chip ships, and that's the growth since 17. I don't have the information about what happened earlier and how much it's actually gone up, but we definitely can stand a lot more shipping out of our port. So that's my answer.
Let's
Yes,
withhold
let's
clapping until the end.
You got it?
I do.
There, that's
Pete, you're going to be the clap police. If you catch any clapping, the kibosh. Richard, I'm going to give you the same question. You got 3 minutes, and here we go. I'll reread it because it's fun to read. What are the 4th District's interests in the development and use of the harbor and use of the remainder portion of the bay? Richard Marks.
Okay, well, I'd just like to take this opportunity to go ahead and answer one of Marian's questions there, and that is where's our tonnage from? When I was elected in 2009, it was about 300,000 metric ton. Currently, we're about 650,000 metric ton this year, so it's over double what it was when I first came on, and she's absolutely correct. A lot of that has just been driven by the market. We, of course, are doing whatever we can to promote any business to come in. But to answer this question, this direct question, first I want to correct something here, and that was of the supervisors' districts, the 4th supervisor district has the direct connect to the Humboldt Bay and the only connect to the bay's harbor. That's not actually true. We also have Fields Landing and King Salmon, so I just wanted to correct that statement that's on your sheet. As far as the question itself, they are all interconnected, and I will work for all interests. I will promote vibrancy at all levels. The port can't survive on its own, and we need the people's buy-in of our community to serve their needs. One of these elements, of course, is the bay's ecosystem. You know, we need a healthy bay that promotes healthy people and a healthy economy. As far as the purchase of the pulp mill, I'm proud of that and what has happened. I'm very fortunate to have a board of commissioners who also promoted to purchase that. And it was a hard decision but the action needed to be taken, and it's been redeveloped, and we now have 18 businesses out there and over 100 workers. I mean, we're about 65% capacity. Once we hit full capacity out there, that should actually mirror the 200 jobs that were out there when the pulp mill workers were there. And people didn't know, I worked out at the pulp mill for nearly 30 years, so I like to see those jobs replaced. But these are clean jobs. These are aquaculture jobs, and a lot of people don't realize that we have oyster spats out there. And of course we have Pacific Flake, which is an actual salt plant that makes salt out of the bay. And so there's a lot of businesses people don't even realize we have out there. And of course, one thing we also have that a lot of people don't realize, we have the largest array of solar panels on top of the roof out there, which supplies most of the energy issues for the harbor properties. And so we've also been working with the private dock owners and the Corps of Engineers to build the infrastructure to keep that channels open at 48 feet so we're safe. And the confidence of the infrastructure for us to make sure that that dredging is done every year allowed California Redwood Green Diamond to invest $8 million in an export facility, and they would not have made that investment unless they felt confident that we could keep that channel open. And each year we make sure we lobby, and we have been very successful in keeping that at 48 feet after our winter cycles. Of course, aquaculture is another example of integrating the port and the environment. We did have a Headwaters grant that resulted in a large Flupsy investment by Taylor Mariculture, and of course that created a lot of jobs, and of course that confidence in what we're doing around the bay for the oysters was effort. It actually resulted in Hog Island investing millions of dollars in more jobs to Humboldt County. The district's issues and interest is for people, environment, and the economy. And as far as going about the fishermen, we did create a fisherman's ordinance, and that was created by myself and my fellow commissioners, and that was to make sure that we put in writing the preference for the fishermen to have access and 24 access to repair and do their equipment for their fishing commercial needs. And so I just want to make that known publicly. Thank you.
Carol, Kevin, just make sure that we're both in.
You are.
We are.
Where are you, Mike? You have a better mic.
Yes, you're all in there.
There we go. Hi, everybody. Hey, question number 2. Richard, you're going to lead with this one. 3 minutes. I don't have a timer out there. It should, maybe Larry's let me down here, but I don't know.
Close enough.
Close enough. Okay. Horseshoes and hand grenades. Question 2. Richard, what would be your role in promoting those interests? In your answer to question 1, what would be the role of promoting those interests?
Okay, well, the same as it's been all along. I would like to see growth and vibrancy. I would continue to look at all the options, listen to all the stakeholders, and make the best decisions with that effect for the most people. I would continue to promote and seek alliances and avoid conflicts. The Harbor District holds a key element, for wind energy in our near future. And that's a real opportunity, and we have the infrastructure for development. One of the things is we're uniquely situated where we don't have bridge impediment over our spit, and so we can have structures that are very high and large be actually here and going across to the landing, which will probably be about 30 miles out for these structures that are going to be built for wind energy. And we've had real interest from international, federal, and state players. Clean energy is going to be our future, and by us being on the forefront of that, as far as out, we're very fortunate. Sea level rise is real, it's coming, and we need to mitigate where it's possible, and we need to be on the forefront with our sediment management, and hopefully we can do something to actually build up our levees around the bay with dredge spoils in the future. And of course, we'd also like to be partners working with the county on a local coastal plan update. Got it?
We're going to trade this one.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. Everybody doing okay out there? How about that meatloaf, man? You don't get to eat that every day. Question number 2, what would be your role in promoting those interests? Marian Brady.
Thank you, Scott. Well, first of all, based upon what I'm hearing from anecdotal information, the Harbor District has been pretty closed off to some of the options and the ideas that the public has brought forward. So I would be open to exploring all ideas that come to the Harbor District. I wouldn't want to sacrifice anything to future potential for the port and the harbor. I want to look at it all. Also, I'm really good at going out and soliciting advice from knowledgeable people. I won't just rely on maybe what I hear from staff, but I actually go out and do my homework and listen to what everybody else has to tell me about what's ongoing. So, being open to bringing new information, bringing it to, just as I do with the City Council, I've always been very proactive, trying to get down, drill down into what the truth of the matter is and to make better decisions because of that. So, one of the things about working cooperatively with the agencies, well again, anecdotally, I've talked to some of the agencies and they've said that they've got a very not great working relationship with the Harbor District. And that's partly because I think the Harbor District has sometimes ignored them, ignored their advice, ignored their permitting requirements, and just gone ahead and done things, which they've gotten chastised for. So I definitely want to have a great working relationship with the permitting agencies that have jurisdiction over the actions of the Harbor District. I'm very interested in pursuing whatever we can of import-export. There may be some advantages or some ideas, things coming our way because of the Redwood Coast Energy Authority's request for proposals that came out with a plan for wind turbines being deployed out into the ocean, which would require a better dock than what they have currently here, rebuilding a super duper dock. And also because of the fact that maybe there's a possibility that in the future, maybe somebody's going to invest in something like carbon fiber manufacturing here, something that's a clean energy type thing, but that actually could end up exporting giant wind vanes out of our bay. Something that could be manufactured here and shipped out. So I'm interested in all that, and I have a lot of contacts throughout the area in the possibilities of things that could happen. Also, the transportation of the sets, the comprehensive economic development strategy that the county's working on, that one of the big issues that they're addressing that crosses all different manufacturing industries is transportation. So there's been some ideas floated out. I would be loving to find out for sure what the feasibility of having rail. We're the only deep water port in the state that does not have a rail connection since the north-south was ended in the late 90s. So if there's any possibility of that working, I want to have an open mind to it. I've been supportive of hearing about it and wanting people to be able to move forward with a feasibility study. So this is one of the first steps. As a city council member, I worked very hard and I was assigned to work on the Upstate Rail Connect Committee, which is where that interest came in rail to Humboldt County, to our port. And we worked for 3 years with 3 counties, with the tribes, with the city, all jointly together, meeting in Tehama or here or in Weaverville. And we eventually got the grant. And then Trinity County, at the last minute after we got the grant, refused to accept it. So the public process ended then. So the private process is something that we don't have as much information about, and that is what's going on now. We created sort of an interest in this. People believe that there's great economic opportunity in this, and they're looking at green technology, a green port, a brand new port, which most of the other ports in the state don't have the option of having. And so I want us to look at this from the standpoint of SEDS too, that this is a county-wide big deal. Lots of people could use transportation, and this transportation could be redundancy for our somewhat challenged highways.
Thank you, ma'am. It's at 1 o'clock. Are we good for the third question? I think so. My timer says I'm okay. Question number 3, Marian, this will go back to you since we're round robin. In the event of conflicting interests, what priorities and tests will you apply to resolve them? I'll reread it. In the event of a conflicting interest, what priorities and tests will you apply to resolve those?
Well, I think that a lot of conceived conflicts or perceived conflicts come out of shortages, perceived shortages. People think there's not enough of something, and they're all vying for getting the most of whatever that something is. But a healthy economy, more abundance, will drive forward our environmental health if those are some of the issues that seem to come up where people are worried about, are we going to impact the bay too much? Are we going to have too many people? Are we going to have too many jobs? Are we going to have problems of traffic problems? All those things. A healthy economy, which could be driven up by all this, will answer that. I think one of the lacks that I'm finding is that there's places where the agencies could share, for example, and not compete. Some of the things that are happening out at the pulp mill site are actually because they're lower, they may be more economical because they don't have the same rents that other people have to charge. There could be sort of negative a backwash against things that the other neighboring agencies are looking for. So we have to make sure that we're not doing some harm by going forward with one thing and then doing harm on the other side. So an example of working better with agencies is because I've been working with the city, and we definitely going ahead with dredging our waterfront. And it's just it seems like it would have been such a simple thing for the Harbor District to be more proactive in working with the city, figuring out ways, keeping their permits current. Maybe they've let those slide a little bit, and working with the city so that the deployment that we've already got, the fact that we mobilized equipment here, that could be a thing. Because they only just opened up the bids for their dredging operation, their clamshell dredging, and of course they have to do clamshell because the barge or the dredge that they bought is unusable. And so again, there's questions about whether that dredge is going to have any value to anyone, even though they've now got millions into it. So they're thinking of the clamshell dredging. I don't know what the results of those. I think they just opened them on Monday, and I think they said they were going to put them out to the public today. So I haven't seen those, whatever the results are. No idea what kind of costs they're accruing by doing this separately. But again, this is where if you're more humble and you ask to work with people, I think want to work with each other. They want to make this a collaborative experience. Also, I'm hearing that there's not a lot of listening going on in the Harbor District. That there's a kind of I'm almost going to say arrogance about not listening to people's questions, not being transparent, not giving them the information they're asking for, and that is definitely, what are they doing with the tax money? Where are they spending things? And what's been accomplished with this money? So in summary, I don't believe that the Harbor District has been open and transparent in their planning. They've made serious mistakes against the advice of knowledgeable sources, and they haven't responded openly. They've been somewhat less helpful to the fishing industry. There's a lot of things that have been taken away from the fishermen that they feel that was their right to have, and that are actually a part of the original agreements that were made. So at this point, I believe that leadership is having visions, not waiting for the crowd to push it forward, but is looking at the possibilities.
Richard, I'll repeat the question, and then we'll hear from Richard. We'll have 2 parting shots and say a prayer and we're out of here. So with that said, Richard, I'll read the question. In the event of conflicting interest, what priorities and tests will you apply to resolve them?
Well, one thing is you want to answer false information. And as far as pointing out that our dredge is unusable, our dredge is actually very workable. It's the permitting that we tried to get for that dredge that we purchased. And that dredge was the same dredge that 10 years ago actually dredged Woodley Island and the Eureka Marina. And so it was with the best information we had available at that time, we went ahead and we purchased that. We couldn't get it permitted because the Environmental Protection Agency made a ruling that we could not put the dredge spoils where we did 10 years ago. And it didn't cost us millions. It cost us, probably a little over $1 million, and we've repurposed it, and it's ready to roll. And so I actually was at a CMAC conference for dredging, and there was people who had actually needed a dredge like that. So we might end up selling it, or we might find another use for it. But as far as tax money, and you're talking about where we put our tax money, it goes into our general fund, and it's very open to the public. We have to answer to that to the public when we do our budgets each year, and so there's nothing nefarious going on. But when we're talking about this question, competing interests are mostly external to the district. CEQA is the most common tool available to vet out all the interests. There seems to be silos created by the state and federal agencies that sometimes don't match the district's interests. And, we have to adapt to whatever decisions are made, just like I was talking about that dredging. In general, though, if there is a substantial conflict, then really nothing happens. And that's sad in itself, because some of the positive things that could happen just are put at a standstill. As far as, I will continue to seek practicality of delivery of benefits and balance the environment and jobs. And those solutions must be sustainable, innovative, and adaptable. And since we're on that subject, we need to find a long-term solution to dredging. Taking the hoods is costly to the taxpayers. The city of Eureka will most likely have to sell property to fund the last round of dredging that they had. The district is in the same situation as they are. We did put out our